Hey everybody, Sean Holsinger here from holsingersflyshop.com. Bringing you another fly tying video. This week I'm going to bring you a caddis pattern. And this caddis pattern is to show off Firehole's new hook. It's the 520, it's a jig hook, and it's a caddis hook. So it's a combination of the two, and it's a really cool hook. I really like it a lot. Can't wait to do some other flies on this hook. I'm looking forward to it. I love the look of it. It's got that natural bend to it, and you get it in a jig hook. So you're going to have the hook riding point up, theoretically. So anyways, real cool video. Pretty easy to tie. Probably a lot of stuff. If you watch my videos, you probably have a lot of this material already. And it's a cased caddis. We have a ton of caddis in our area. You can play around with the color of the caddis popping out. We have a lot of rockworms, which are green, so I'm going to tie them as a green one. And also, I'm going to tie it with golden pheasant tail, okay? The golden pheasant tail is going to make a nice imitation if you're looking to imitate something like maybe if you have a sandy soil with a light soil that they build their cases out of sand. So you're going to have that tube that the caddis lives in is going to be a lighter color. Golden pheasant will work great for that. If you have a dark one, go with just a regular pheasant. The regular pheasant tail works great for just a normal caddis. I'm going to show it to you in a golden pheasant just for a different look today. So anyways, guys, enough talking. Here we go. You're going to see a picture of the fly and then the material list to tie it. Alright guys, here you see this cased caddis pattern in the vise. Very cool, very simple fly to tie. Let's get into tying it here. Actually, before we do, I'll show you the darker version. Here it is tied with just pheasant tail. And you can see how it's nice and dark. Like I said, if you're using one with like a lot of branches and stuff, go with the pheasant tail over the golden pheasant. So, let's start out here with our hook. The hook we're using is the new Firehole 520 hook. So really cool. I like this hook a lot. Got a nice bend to it, nice shape, and really like the looks of it. The bead I'm using here is a 3.0 tungsten slotted bead. For lead, we're using 0.020 lead wire, and I'm putting about 5 wraps on there. For thread, I'm going to start out with some 140 Denier. This is olive thread. Just going to start it on there and lock down that lead. Then, when I cut my tag off, I'm going to come back and go right around the bend of the hook here just a little bit. And I'm going to put a ball of thread. That ball of thread is going to end up being the head of the worm that sticks out of the casing. So, just make a nice little ball there. And then, just like I do to split my biots when I do a stonefly or something, I'm just going to put a little bit of bone dry to keep that thread from unwinding later on down the road. So put a little bit of bone dry on there, hit it with your light, and it only takes a second with this bone dry. And then we're going to switch threads. The next thread we're going to use this is actually 70 Denier. This is fluorescent Chartreuse, and this is going to give us the color of the worm here in a second. And we're just going to tie that on there. I'm going to run it back right to that ball of thread and cover the whole thing up so none of that olive thread shows through underneath. Then we need just a small piece of Kiley's Nymph skin, and I'm going to cut it at an angle. So I'm just going to cut a little chunk out of the corner here, and that's going to allow me to lighten it up a little bit so it's not as thick. And I'm just going to pull that and wrap it right back to that bead of thread again. And again, just cover everything up nice. Now, because I'm using 70, it tends to break easily. So if I nick that hook point there, it's going to snap. So I'm just going to switch back to my olive thread. And we're just going to trim these two off. And then I'm going to take this Kiley's Nymph skin, and I'm going to make about 3 wraps. So I'm going to wrap it onto the head there, And then 1, 2, and I'm going to overlay each one about halfway. 3, there we go. And then I'm just going to pull up and wrap this off. And that'll give me about the distance that I want on here for this worm to stick out the casing. Next thing, for legs, I'm going to use a Brahma hen feather. I've been picking at this one already. This one is a March brown color. Any dark colored Brahma hen will work. And what I'm going to do is just going to pull off about, I don't know, 8 or so fibers on one side here. And I'm going to stick it on the side. I'm going to stick it the length of that head and hold it up against it. I'm going to loosely wrap it on there and wrap it back towards the worm. Then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to do this on both sides. You'll see it a little bit better on this one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave them spread out, put it the length of the head, switch fingers and hold it down against the worm there, and then lightly wrap it around until I get up to the head. When it hits the head, it'll splay it all out. Now, I'm going to come through and trim all the butt sections off here. And you'll see these legs here in a second. And then we're just going to wrap down what we didn't get trimmed off. So you can see there now how that just went the whole way around there nice. And it was really simple doing it that way. And you got them the length you want them. So I like doing it that way. It works well for me. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of Brassie wire in gold. And this is just to protect the pheasant tail that we're going to put on here in a second. I'm just going to put that onto the side. Wrap it back to my worm. And then the last thing I'm going to put on is a piece of golden pheasant tail. And for this I'm going to take about 6 or so fibers. And the golden pheasant, you can see the coloration in it of it. It's really light. Like I said, it's going to match like a sandy bottom or something. I'm just going to cut the tips off. And I'm going to start them on top here. Wrap them down. Wrap them back there to the worm again. To my legs. And then come back up to the bead. Now we're going to wrap this forward. Side by side wraps. I don't want to overlay and make it bigger. And then once I get up to the bead, we're going to tie it off. Now with my ultra wire here, I'm going to counter wrap. And the counter wrap is going to protect these pheasant fibers, which are kind of brittle, especially whenever they get hit by a trout's teeth. Trout can have pretty sharp teeth, so we want to protect our pheasant tail fiber here. Wrap that up to the bead. Give her 3 or 4 wraps to tie it off, and then helicopter our wire off and hit a whip finish. I usually like to do about 2-3 wrap finishes, whip finishes. Then, because of the olive color, when I hit it with some, the olive works nice here, because when I hit this with some bone dry, it darkens up just a little bit. I don't want to use too much bone dry here. Just want to use enough that I get that thread covered and protect it. And that is all. That's a very simple peeping caddis. Alright guys, hope you like that easy tie. And you know, you can tie a lot of these and fill up a box and they work great. Especially here in my area in Pennsylvania. We have a ton of caddis flies. Like I said, the green ones work great for a couple different hatches. You know, the granums that green worm sticking out the caddis case will work for the granums, and a couple other rock caddises, and you know, just mess around with the body material, whichever you like. Try the golden pheasant if you have golden pheasant. If not, just use regular pheasant. Regular pheasant will work just fine on it. So I'm just giving you another option to use golden pheasant. I haven't put it in a video for a while and was looking for a reason to do it. So anyways, give this one a try. Check out those new Firehole 520 hooks. You're gonna love them. And if you need them, look us up at the shop at holsingersflyshop.com. And for any other your fly tying needs. If you want me to tie some of these for you, reach out to me at holsingersflyshop@gmail.com. And that's where I do all my custom orders. If you send an email to that address, not the shop address, send one to that address and it'll go directly to me and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So thanks for watching, guys. As always, you know, if you haven't already, please subscribe, give the thumbs up for this one, and see you next week, guys. I'm Sean Holsinger.